Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Quite excited to be here. So many people in this virtual space. It's kind of like a lower digitalized version of the astral. And everyone's chosen avatars that look like themselves in physical life, right?
I totally did.
We have two frogs. we have a penguin. What is this? Okay. Anyway, yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for Tarot for being so helpful. You'll have to bear with me if there is any technical issues or something. I'm very new to VR chat, but I'm sure it will be fine. Okay, so where to begin? Astral projection, exciting and interesting, right? Not so exciting when it's coming from someone who's like a conspiracy theorist or sensationalist or something, right? If you want to get to know it properly, you need to speak to someone who has done the work to get there. In reality, it's a tremendous discipline for those who are determined to do it. But at the same time, it's extremely simple to do. The only thing that makes it hard is our own minds, because we've been raised in society to think that any new skill has to be attained from much suffering, and that we're not good enough until we put in that work. And so we find methods and systems in order to work towards that goal. But really, the method is just our subconscious way of putting it off until you feel worthy enough. And actually, deep down, we're just putting off the fact that we're afraid to do it, to leave the body. Okay, let me... Oh, yes.
If you need help with the slides, Gene, let me know. I can flip them for you as well.
Okay. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, great. Okay. Okay, so to give a very short introduction of myself and how I got to this point, when I was 18, I dropped out of university to study computer science. Basically, I was depressed, lost, and didn't know where I was going in life. And with that existential crisis, I discovered lucid dreaming. And I went on to have hundreds of lucid dreams, but eventually I also found no satisfaction in that either, because I asked myself, what is the point of existence if all that I experience is within my mind, right? When we dream, we just experience our own little world. And it's exactly the same for when we're awake in the physical too. We're always just in our own world of what we know. The mind always clings onto the known, what we learn. But for us to discover the unknown, it has to let go of that clinging. And so eventually I found meditation, and through this I found astral projection and learned how to go beyond dreaming, hence the name of my book. And through this, you can venture into dimensions of consciousness which are absolutely nothing like the hundreds of lucid dreams I had beforehand. So this affected the way I understand life and death in profound ways, and I continue to have eye-opening experiences, not just in the non-physical, but also in the physical. I continue to practice while also going back to university and studying philosophy this time, and completed my dissertation on lucid dreaming. I also became a member of a Gnostic group for several years, where I learned a lot of esoteric wisdom. So 11 years later, here I am with a bunch of experiences gathered, and I still feel that I'm only scratching at the surface of what this is all about. So I'm not really a guru or a teacher or an awakened one, right? I'm just a person sharing my mind and my experiences. I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. You make up your own mind about what you hear today. And out of those 11 years, I only became public about 6 months ago amidst the pandemic, when I visited the Astral Projection subreddit and realized there are hundreds of people who are terribly misguided and misinformed with this whole topic. And so I got involved on there. One thing led to another. I wrote a book, and now I have a YouTube, as you can see on the screen. And after the success of this book, I also have 2 more books being planned as we speak. And it's been great giving my experience and what I have to share on this, because we're really pushing for new paradigms of thinking and awareness when it comes to this topic on quite a radical scale. So we can bring about a real change in the world by changing ourselves. You know, astral projection is not just some separate theory or hobby. It's integral to absolutely everything in life. You name it, science, religion, politics, esotericism, even down to mundane things such as when the next episode of your favorite show is coming out, or what clothes you should wear to work, how much money you make, or your level of popularity with friends, or whatever. The astral plane is integral to everything. It's a kind of building block to our lives individually, collectively, spiritually, and materially. I know some of you will kind of know what I'm going on about here vaguely. Some of you probably don't at all, but you know, let's go deeper into it. And here's the book on Amazon. Just search it on there in your own time if you'd like to read more about it, including all the reviews, to get a better idea of what it's all about. Okay, so before I delve deeper, let's see what kind of gathering we have here. Let's save questions for after, because I'm going to talk for about an hour, and it may hold answers for you already, or help you formulate more specific questions for the Q&A that we'll have afterwards. The Q&A can last anywhere from 30 minutes to, you know, maybe up to 2 hours, depending on my stamina and, you know, your questions as well. So, yes. So who here is entirely new to the topic of astral projection? I guess if you don't have a VR set, you can just nod your head up and down.
Jump, use
with
some
your mouse.
emojis, you know, be creative.
Oh, yeah.
I see a couple.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so who here feels like they know quite a bit about it?
So is this? Did you say who's new?
Yeah, who's new, entirely new to astral projection? Okay, and who here thinks they know quite a bit about it? Okay, great. Who here has already
I've been
experienced
doing it
astral
a
projection?
few days.
Okay. Okay, great. You know, and in other words, an out-of-body experience. They're the same thing, essentially, right? Okay. Who here has had a lucid dream? Okay, a bit more, I think. All right. Just to check, does everyone know what a lucid dream is? Is there? Okay.
Don't be afraid to say no.
Does anyone? Okay, that's fine. Does anyone not know? I would assume everyone usually does, because it's a conventionally accepted fact nowadays. But if you don't, it means being in a dream and at the same time being aware that you're in the dream, giving you the freedom to do whatever you want. You know, your imagination is your only limit. So imagine this is a dream now, and you can just do whatever you want, right? Okay, so who here thinks astral projection and lucid dreaming are the same thing? Okay, no one. Who here thinks they're not the same at all? Okay, great. Who has no idea at all? Okay, great. So I think only 1 or 2 of you said you've experienced astral projection. Not a lot of you gave an opinion about the last question, which is good because, you know, if we're serious about pursuing astral projection, you know, the ones who said they have no idea at all are probably closer to experiencing it than those who gave an opinion on what they think astral projection is. Which brings us to our first point. What astral projection is not. And what it is not what we think. You follow? It is not what we think. This means astral projection does not happen according to or within the realms of belief, thoughts, imagination, visualization, hallucinations, unconscious or subconscious dreaming, psychedelic experiences, scientific deduction, religion, occultism, or, you know, even just general spirituality. No, in its core essence, in its purity, it is absolutely none of that. It doesn't matter whether you love science or you love spirituality or you love occultism. In purely practical terms, you need to forget all that. Because when we talk about astral projection, we're not talking about an idea. We're talking about life itself, right? A dimension or mode of consciousness which is present in nature and that happens beyond every single idea, analyzation, or belief that you can think of. Why? Because it is an actual reality, just like physical life. And so to drop all of what society and culture has told us and investigate this matter for ourselves is to become our own pioneers of consciousness and delve into these matters ourselves instead of relying on ancient books or modern science to tell us the answers for us, right? As for what astral projection is, it's the phenomena of consciousness separating from the physical body. Now, you can view that as actually externally leaving the body or internally going into inner worlds. That's not important, really, when it comes to the practice. It doesn't matter because both are one and the same, right? And actually, if you look into recent studies on consciousness and what things are pointing towards, the fact that, you know, consciousness does not exist within the body, but instead the body exists within consciousness. So consciousness is within and without all things. And in those dimensions, we can have life-changing experiences and learn a lot of things. If you want to know whether it's possible to actually see physical things while outside of the body and confirm and validate them, yes, that is also possible. You are able to leave your body, go and see something, and then wake up back in your physical body and go to the same location to validate it. I've done this before, and someone called Graham Nichols is someone who...
Oh, I apologize. There we go.
Yes, Graham Nichols is someone who has done this hundreds of times in scientific settings, and he's currently still being, researched on somewhere in America. Currently, I believe. But yeah, you can search him up if you'd like, if you want to know more about that. So, yes, you can leave your body and see objective realities within many kind of dimensions, not just dimensions that are parallel to the physical as well. You can go to that which we call heavens and that which we call hells. One is a higher dimension of consciousness and the other are lower dimensions of consciousness. Humanity is scared of the idea of heaven and hell because they don't understand it. But when we understand the nature of them, and realize that those types of environments are a result of our own energetic makeup, then we understand how to change those realities. All dimensions are a result of a specific tuning of our state or our level of consciousness. In astral projection, we can literally fly into space, visit other planets, and discover profound truths of what we call the universe in a direct and personal way. We can communicate with those who reside in higher dimensions and also with loved ones who have passed away. But the main purpose here is for learning. To use astral projection for any other purpose other than to grow, inquire, and learn about oneself is useless, frankly. To use it for entertainment, trivia, or a casual hobby is fine. But for anything else, really, it's useless and a complete waste of time, you know? Like so many people initially think, I want to experience astral projection because it's so cool, right? Well, that person is, missing the point. How can one have such a profound experience and just treat it as cool? We need to be aware of the significance and implication of what's happening. And you can learn anything in the astral you set your intention to. If you want to understand your problems, or perhaps study, Hermeticism, Gnosticism, Kabbalah, or whatever in the astral, then you can learn it in a very direct way over there. If that is your purpose and what you're meant to do, right? Everyone has experiences according to the level they're ready to accept. The Gnostic teacher Samael Aun-Weor is someone who bases many, if not all, his occult findings on things he studied in the astral. Any kind of psychic ability, such as, scribing, remote viewing, clairvoyance, clairaudience, are all his occult to accessing these higher dimensions accessible within ourselves. What makes astral projection so wonderful is that it is the ultimate ability because it's a sort of combination.
Oh, I think your mic went quiet there for a minute, Gene.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was about to be kicked.
You're good.
Yes. Astral projection is helps you realize that all psychic phenomena is natural, and so if you want to scribe, for example, okay, go to a dimension in the astral, get advice from a spiritual teacher, which is entirely new information to you, and then wake up and write it down. Or if you want to practice clairvoyance or clairaudience, simply find someone and focus on them, and you'll see their thoughts as images or hear them as information. These abilities are very natural in the astral. They come second nature to you over there very quickly. And if you're attentive enough, you can ground these abilities in the physical too. So since I'm saying
questions, save questions for the end, please, Kenneth. Appreciate it though.
Yeah, let's save it for. Should be about 45 minutes. Don't worry. You can note down questions. So since I'm saying astral projection is so integral to everything, naturally there are many traditions and teachings where astral projection is part of whatever the experiencer or teaching is describing. But they don't just use the term astral projection or out-of-body experience explicitly. For example, there's a Hindu yoga called Shabdi Yoga, SHABD, Shabdi Yoga, which is all about going into experiences beyond the senses. And even in the Bible, St. Paul specifically and literally says how we can go out of the body to experience, quote unquote, the heavens. And in the Hermetica, one of the first things is a discourse between Hermes Trismegistus and Poismandres. And the first thing he says is, his thinking soared while his body was restrained, and a being appeared to him and changed shapes. And his body was heavy and sleepy, like when you eat too much. A lot of old texts like these essentially describe out-of-body experiences, but because of a lack of form terms back then in a way you could say they describe them in a more plain way without the, preconceptions and connotations that we have about the labels of out-of-body experiences or astral projection. So the closest way I can describe to you what astral projection feels like is if you just for a moment, please look away from the screen. Or if you have a VR headset on, I'm not sure if you can still continue listening. If not, just use your imagination. But it's better to do this while looking at your physical surroundings directly. So look around where you are, wherever you are. Look at the palm of your hands and see the little details of it. Feel what it feels like to be you and be in your body. Hear any sounds in the environment. Maybe you can hear things outside, or if there's no sounds, just pay attention to the silence around you. Maybe touch a nearby object and feel how it feels, the realness of it, the tangibility of it. Now, just imagine for a moment that you are in the astral plane, here and now, in your, physically, essentially, and that your physical body is asleep in bed somewhere else. This is what astral projection feels like. It feels just like this. You don't need to imagine what it feels like because it feels just as real as physical waking life. Now, hold on to this sensation for just a moment and try to intensely amplify and expand your awareness, by 100 times. Because astral projection in its most profound experience feels more real than physical life. It is more tangible, more palpable. You feel every inch and see every detail and learn new information from whatever you're seeing. Whether it be a discussion with someone, you see a new piece of art, you see something or read something, the sensation that things are not happening from your subconscious mind makes the entire encounter a learning experience. Okay, so, back in the room, in case anyone actually took your headsets off. So, ask yourself, why can't I feel like this all the time? Well, it's mainly because our minds, attachments and obsessions with what you can see on the screen, right? They're blocking this extrasensory perception of what is beyond our own mind.
Careful with your eyes, Gene.
Yes. So as you can see, I've put little clouds here. What this man can see, this is his perception, and this is what is, the astral, the unknown. But we always cling on to the known. And when the mind wants to go into the unknown, it feels fair because, oh no, I don't want to experience this because, I have to cling on to all these attachments that I have, all these beliefs, all this proud knowledge that I have. And so this is the challenge. The challenge really starts with ourselves. So, yes, this is why astral projection is a practice, and not just a practice at night, but a practice while in the day too, while we're awake. This is why it is completely synonymous with personal development and the awakening of consciousness. And it is one of the most powerful ways to do so when done properly. So astral projection is a form of self-inquiry. It's not about discovering something outside of you and asking whether it was real or not. It absolutely can be, and we can confirm experiences in this way. But the more profound aspect is that it is an awakening of perception beyond our usual physical, material capacity. Yet, this is an aspect of life most of us never knew existed our entire lives. And by the time we're grown adults, society tells us to form our own opinions about this and that and be proud of them. And that when it comes to actually discovering new realities for ourselves, we close ourselves off. We disbelieve or brush off the idea because we're so ingrained in valuing our own self-created and learned delusions about what we learn in books, what we heard from others, and little opinions we formed and identified with. But one first has to realize that beyond all that, there are dimensions of consciousness which speak profundities deeper than any of those ideas and opinions to which we hold on to so dearly. This can be discovered through honest and sincere practice of astral projection. So, of course, we want to know how to do it, right? Gene, give us the specific instructions and step-by-step material so that I can practice this for myself. It's kind of a funny question to ask for such a profound thing. And I hope by the end of this, you'll understand why I find it a funny question. It's funny because this is how our minds work, right? Our minds work in the way that it thinks it can solve any problem or issue with the correct steps and guidance. And if it doesn't work, well, it's not my mind that's wrong, it's the steps that are wrong, right? Well, I'm sorry, but relying on step-by-step instructions are just not entirely the fundamentals with something like this. The mind is completely alone, completely by itself on this inner journey of discovery. The mind has to turn in on itself and really open itself to the experience. We always want ready-made answers instead of inquiring into it ourselves to understand it fully. We want to be told the answer like everything else in society. And the more gratifying the answer, the more we assign to that belief or thought structure, which is ultimately a crutch. We always want a ready-made microwave meal, right? That comes with step-by-step instructions. You follow the instructions, you may or may not succeed in making the meal, but do you understand how you made the meal? We have to seek to understand. And this is also why there is so much fear behind astral projection too, because fear only arises from a lack of understanding. And if one truly understands what they saw and responded in an intelligent way, they wouldn't be fearful. So we have to back up even more if we want to go, very far on this journey of understanding. We have to begin with what is close to us. And that starts with you and your physical life, where you are now, who you are, what you think and how you think and what you believe. Firstly, if you firmly believe that purely material phenomena is all that exists, then that is all you will experience. End of, really. You may as well leave this room right now because I simply have nothing more to offer you, and you'd be wasting your time here hearing me speak rather than truly listening or learning. And you'd be comparing ideas I'm presenting with your own belief system, saying, this person is absolutely crazy. How can he say such things when I proudly hold this or that belief? If you are that person, I will say, why should you believe material matter exists? You don't need to believe it. It's here and now all around you. No need for belief. You already know. In the same way I know realities beyond the physical exist. And I know they don't exist within my own mind or imagination because I've experienced it directly. Now, when it comes to approaching astral projection, one should not believe nor disbelieve. One should take upon themselves a profound self-inquiry to truly discover. One who believes in astral projection can be just as lost and deluded as one who does not believe in astral projection. So this is a very tricky thing to do effectively, right? Because most of us are not aware of our own subconscious subconscious assumptions. There are people who try to astral project and are so impatient that, they try for one night and their subconscious is already niggling at their brain saying, I don't think this is real. It's such a waste of time. This is where meditation comes in extremely effective. If one knows how to meditate, I recommend checking out my video on how to meditate, and also listen to the audiobook The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Some of you may have heard of it before. We won't cover too much on meditation here due to time, but if one is really interested, you will find the proper material for that.
We also
Now,
give a meditation class
with all
here
that
on
said,
Tuesdays, just to throw it out there.
there we go. And so with all that said, I will give some basic step-by-step instructions on how to come out of body, but step-by-step instructions are something that is secondary. Everything I've been saying up to now is absolutely primary and fundamental to approaching this entire thing. It's first about temet nosce, right? Which is Latin for know thyself. And we have to know what we think, how we think, what we believe, how we're feeling all the time, and whether those kinds of inner thought forms that we commonly, subscribe to are restricting us from experiencing different realities, rather than clinging onto our same reality that we uphold through habits and compulsiveness. We need to understand our own inner structure of our own souls and how it feels and how it works. Know thyself. This is something that goes profoundly beyond thinking about oneself. It goes far beyond the level of the intellect. The great Jiddu Krishnamurti said, as long as there is fear, that fear will take shelter in belief. And so in this sense, Jiddu Krishnamurti was a Gnostic. Anyone who renounces belief in all its forms is a Gnostic. Gnostic derives from the word gnosis, which in its purest translation means direct experience is superior to belief. Our species is, so obsessed with belief, right? We have religions and spiritual wars over who is right and wrong, who's better or worse, and not just about beliefs, but, theories, over intellectualizations, personal opinions, over analyzing, assumptions. We use all that to argue with each other. When in reality, everyone is wrong when they're just at the level of intellectualism. So this phenomena of belief is, kind of problematic, and it's a dualistic trap in its nature. We don't see this as long as we are caught in that level of consciousness. Hence why I said before, we have to transcend our own level of thinking. But that's a very difficult thing to do when we think we're always right. So we have to learn to be honest and humble and sincere. A person who thinks they're always right and thinks that they know everything cannot astral project. Their mind is closed off. That is a person who is full of themselves, right? Do you get it? Full of themselves, meaning they are full of their own self-delusions, and new spiritual experiences cannot arise when one is full. One has to empty their cup, so to speak, to allow fresh new experiences. This doesn't mean we can't study spirituality. No, it just means that we have our cup, but when it comes to practicing, just recognize the cup for what it is and lay it to the side. We don't need to drink it and hail it and pray to it. It's just knowledge, and just see knowledge for what it is, stored memories. As an example of this accelerating problem of belief and duality in astral projection communities, I've noticed that the most common beliefs on both ends of the coin, both ends of the duality, are something like, people have a belief that astral projection is real because they're scared that there's nothing more to life. So they want to believe in something permanent. On the flip side of this, people who have a belief that astral projection is not real is because they're scared that the existence of something permanent could imply they need to change the way they live, right? I know this doesn't apply to everyone, and everyone will, they won't admit to justifying their beliefs in this way. But if you really look into it and people are really honest with themselves, this is what most of them will find. We have to go beyond both of these beliefs and take a leap of faith and really look at what actually is and what actually, what this actually implies for our own life and our existence and our purpose. Belief has brought us basically nowhere in society, in science, in religion, in spirituality, nowhere. But yet it's still the most common thing we all argue about. I believe this, you're right, you're wrong. We need to go beyond that level of thinking. Only those who have really took the journey within themselves and have found something substantial and useful for others, has touched on some form of objective substance. They become people of creativity and originality instead of being a person of regurgitated ideas from past authors, masters, great scientists. We all do this. I do this. But we need to find our own essence, our own divinity, right? You can say, I am a Gnostic, I am a scientist, I am a magical practitioner, I am a Christian, I am agnostic, I am a skeptic, right? We subscribe to external thought structures that we like going down a shopping aisle and seeing what your favorite thought form to identify like with is, today, instead of actually forming our own active and inquiring minds so that we can develop our own individual awakening of consciousness. So we have to go even closer now, instead of far, and look at that which is within us and stops us from experiencing astral projection naturally when we go to sleep. If you were expecting a fanciful talk on interesting experiences, aliens, conspiracy theories, then I'm sorry to disappoint. I can share some of my own experiences in the Q&A if you're interested afterwards. But you can also listen to them on my YouTube channel. But what I'm talking about here is the real practice, the real fundamentals, starting with ourselves and finding those keys within directly. I am only concerned with helping men and women to discover this profound dimension of life for themselves. And I'm also sorry if you were expecting scientific deductions. I don't care for science. Don't get me wrong. I actually love science and the beauty of mathematics and quantum physics, who are knocking at the doors of non-physical dimensions, by the way. So I love science, but I don't love modern scientific groups who are hailed as leading pioneers into the study of creation. Actually, I used to love modern science very much until I found Astral Projection, of course. The New Scientist magazine. I grew up buying every single new magazine every week. But if one is to subscribe only to modern scientific discoveries, you're going to be stuck. Stuck in the labyrinth of questions instead of discovering. And you probably won't find very much in this lifetime. Science has a place for the extremely slow process of putting physical matter into understandable, systematic, intellectual equations and deductions. It's great and satisfying for our intellectual minds, but it doesn't have a place for your individual personal awakening of consciousness. Modern science and our technology is actually very primitive compared to what is actually achievable. And, if you come out of body and you get a glimpse of, certain intelligent life, you'll see that compared to our technology, we're very primitive. Okay, so this is a similar diagram, just a bit more elaborated. You don't need to worry about reading it all. I just use this for a recent YouTube video. You can go and check that out if you want to. We won't go too deep into it, but the basic idea is that in the middle is you as your soul, right? As your pure awareness. This is where we should live in our consciousness. However, we often live inside or get caught by or identify with all branches that are coming off it. These branches are part of life. I'm not saying they're bad in themselves, but that we all get caught in these in one way or another. And they rule our life and our consciousness instead of us having clear awareness over them. I've made a video on this. It's called Transcending the Fourth Dimension, if you want to look into that and download the image there as well. It's called Rise Above Time to Understand the Astral Realm. Rise above time because, these things are all essentially things that we learn in the past. And we're always in the past, right? We have to be more present if we want to pursue what I'm talking about. And, let me scale for you the significance of these psychological obstacles. Modern psychology agrees with what I was taught in Gnosticism. And not in my Gnostic group, this was made very clear to students. That most of our minds, our consciousness, is made up of subconscious or unconscious thoughts, right? In Gnosticism, they generally teach that we are only 3% conscious. The rest is trapped. And thus, all those branches you see are only scratching at the surface of what's blocking our way into the great journey of ourselves. These are just things within ourselves, obstacles within ourselves that I can put into words, into intellectualizations. Okay, so many things. There's many movings and feelings within our subconscious that are, not easily put into words, especially our emotions, which run very deep and are very complex, right? The human mind is not simple. If you're a simple-minded person, I guarantee there is just an infinite amount of complexity within you. So all these things with our consciousness living in these thought form structures stop us from really perceiving our physical life from moment to moment, making us completely asleep, right? I think most of you here from spiritual backgrounds somewhat understand this sleeping state of consciousness I'm talking about. Does it make sense if I say that, humanity is like sheep, right? Sleeping and being mechanical, artificial creatures, obeying the law and just doing our 9-to-5 jobs on autopilot. Yeah. Yeah, most of you are nodding. So how can we begin to expect to be awakened from moment to moment in our sleep if we can't do it while awake? As above, so below. This is the very first and core teaching to unlocking astral projection. Live from moment to moment while you are awake, and you will live from moment to moment in your sleep too. You'll have attentiveness, awareness. You'll start to see your dreams more. Free your mind from disturbances and see clearly. Like conventional wisdom in psychology says, people dream about what they did during the day. Right? That's conventional wisdom in psychology. Or more specifically, they dream about what they dreamed or fantasized or thought about during the day. And so, what happens when a mind is completely silent, peaceful, and attentive during the day, and not lost in dreams and thoughts? Well, then, naturally, it is going to be attentive during sleep too. I can't convince you of this intellectually, but just try it. Have a day where you are just so always observing yourself, always observing your inner thoughts. You'll see, your dreams will start to become more vivid. And when you start to place more attention, intention into, states when you're sleeping, your awareness will be directed within those moments of sleep, and you'll start to also begin to awaken to what is happening while you sleep. Okay, so this is where we get onto degrees of being awakened. While the physical body sleeps, while you're asleep and you've somewhat awakened your consciousness, you may find yourself in a dream. Okay? And, you may not be aware that the environment you're seeing is being projected by your own subconscious. And so if you're attentive and mindful enough and still enough to see and feel that you are actually dreaming these things into existence, then you'll also have the innate sense, the innate ability to let go and stop thinking it all up. You can literally sense yourself dreaming up the dream. This, will result in that those subconscious dream projections will dissolve. And what happens when consciousness is in non-physical reality but isn't dreaming? Well, then objective reality appears before its eyes. This is easier said than done by most of us, of course, because most of us are stuck in constant and compulsive dreams without any self-awareness. One needs to learn how to meditate and inquire into one's mind deeply and observe. Now, I want to explain how this can look in the astral. Say I astral project and I see souls, I see people moving around in the astral. I see normal people who are unconsciously in the astral. You see, in reality, you astral project every night, unconsciously. I'm not sure if many of you realize this, but yes, when the physical body sleeps, consciousness roams around, carrying on in its delusions of thought, just like it did during the day. So let me explain how this looks in the astral. Imagine for a moment, in the physical, imagine your closest, local busy city center or town center. There's many crowds of people there, busy, walking here and there, right? Now, physically, they're all in the same location. They're all in the same physical location, right? But, however, in each one's consciousness, they are all in a world of their own.
Oh, I think you froze up there for a second, Gene. Are you alright?
Uh-oh.
I think he might have crashed. That's a bit of an inconvenience. However, we have been going for an hour, so it might also be an opportunity to take a short break until Gene is back. I'll contact him on Discord. Yeah, it can happen.
He
I'm
probably
sorry.
astral projected.
Yeah, he just went for it. I'll contact him.
Probably.
Do make sure you get back soon in case you are taking a short break, because he could pay back any moment. So again, sorry for the inconvenience. I'll contact him now.
Where's the bathroom? So how's your day been going, though?
It's been going good. Here, let's go outside for a second.
Yo, free buns.
I would recommend you stay in, folks, because he's on his way back already.
Yo, what's going on?
Oh, okay.
Yo,
you on
don't
the
go,
quest?
guys.
Stay in the back.
Come on.
Yeah.
Is it like extremely laggy for you as well?
I've been,
Nah, it's just the PowerPoint is glitching.
Excuse me.
took a shower.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
I'm laying down though.
would you have
Yeah?
time
No, I'm on it too.
to talk after the lecture?
There will be
I'm
a
restart,
little
because
hangout
everyone
afterwards, I'm
sounds
sure.
like they're
And
like
Okay.
if you want to contact, it might be better to do another day because after that it will be a little late.
He said that's not
Oh,
enough.
I'm new to this,
Yeah,
and
A lot of this
you
is
might not
hitting
want
on
to though.
like
and I need
Because,
some showing
if you want
around.
to turn it on
That's
so
alright.
it can be filled, you might lose your spot. Somebody
Or
might
I'm
be
new to the
waiting.
group, I should say.
Hello, I'm back.
Welcome back,
if
Gene.
you only have a
Take your
one,
seats,
that might be
everybody.
why.
Take your
Wait,
seats,
sorry.
mute your mics. We're getting back to it.
Oh, he's back, y'all. He's back.
shit.
Grab your
Yeah,
seats.
sorry about that.
It happens. I'm
think-
sorry too.
It was actually my internet, I think, but it should be fine.
Don't forget to mute your
My
mics,
Wi-Fi cut
again,
out.
folks, because I hear some echoes here and there. We cannot have that while Gene is speaking. Reese?
Okay.
All right. Well, let's pick up where
Okay.
we were.
Yes. Yep. Okay. I hope everyone is, I said to imagine a local area where there are people, crowds of people in your town, in your city center, all in the physical location, right? On the same physical location, crowds of people. Yeah. But they're all in a world of their own, in their own consciousness, in their own imagination, in their own dreams, thinking about where they need to go next, arguing with friends, thinking about a deadline they have next week, etc. And so this is exactly the same as in the astral plane. We walk around like deluded zombies in the physical, and we also do it in the astral too, as above, so below. And depending on how deep one is stuck in their own dream world, determines how cut off they'll be from experiencing objective reality. You can see this in other people if you're discerning enough. There are people we've all probably talked to who are so cut off from reality, so cut off from themselves, that when you talk to them, it's like not really there, right? They're stuck in their own preoccupations. Or say when someone is daydreaming and they suddenly snap back to where they are. You see, as above, so below. We daydream in the day, and we night dream at night. We have to stop dreaming. It has no use for us, neither in waking life nor physical life. In waking life or sleep. We have to wake up. And if you've ever practiced being present in your life, like so many spiritual teachings talk about, well, this is where astral projection is an effective incentive for that. Because we don't just practice being present for the sake of itself, but we take on a higher challenge of perceiving and experiencing the worlds. So in this way, we can master basic spiritual principles very fast when we set our goals on something much more advanced and sublime. So as you can see on the screen, once you're in non-physical awareness, either consciously or unconsciously, you can be in a dream. And as you begin to grow, this isn't a set line, a set diagram. This is just a general outline. And as your awareness grows, you can be in a lucid dream. And then once the dream is dissolved, you can enter the astral plane. Okay. Don't worry if you're not following properly. There will be time for questions. So if you somewhat understand what I'm saying, you'll be able to use your own intuition to understand this diagram. This is by Bob Peterson, an author, by the way. He has a book called Hacking the Out-of-Body Experience. I recommend it if you really want one of the most comprehensive books on different techniques and specific methods for leaving the body, all with a scientific approach. When I talk about astral projection, unfortunately, I'm not that interested in talking about specific techniques. I want to talk about the fundamentals, right? As you have already heard me talking about. So, yes, as you can see, he's labeled, let me get my pen. So he's labeled lucid dreaming as a conscious, subjective experience, right? The environment is subjective. It's coming from your own subconscious, okay? And you're conscious in it. It's a lucid dream. And an OBE, an out-of-body experience or astral projection, is a conscious, objective experience. The environment is objective. It is not coming from your subconscious. A dream is an unconscious, subjective experience. Your own dream, it is subjective, but you are unaware and you are unconscious. And then there is shared dreams as unconscious objective. So that's when you're in, essentially the astral plane, but you are unconscious of it. And in the Reddit, there's been quite a few people who say, oh my God, I've just woken up and my friend remembered the same dream as me. We saw the same things. Well, yes, because this was a shared dream. You were both in the astral. You were just unconscious. But, what I've been saying really is not spoken about a lot, right? This understanding that we leave the body every night. We are so ingrained in the modern world's conventional way of understanding dreams that just dreams, but we completely underestimate them. So yes, and unconscious shared dreams. So as I said earlier, our conscious roams around the astral unconsciously. And depending on our level of consciousness, we can sometimes be in a world of our own, like in our own sort of bubble, or we can actually be sometimes in objective astral realities, but we're just not aware. So if you're really listening to what I'm saying, sorry, I'm pointing the laser at you, you'll know I've already revealed a method to astral projection, which is astral projecting from a lucid dream. It's simple theoretically. I'll repeat. It's just 2 steps. 1, become lucid. There are many easy lucid dreaming techniques out there. Just find them. I won't go into them here. And number 2, realize it's a dream and sense yourself dreaming the content of the dream and then stop it, break the dream by instinct. It doesn't take thought to do this. You just stop. It takes your ability of thought to stop it. Just in exactly the same way, you stop yourself daydreaming in the day and snap back to reality. If you've been daydreaming, if you ever find yourself daydreaming and you catch yourself and you stop dreaming, it's a very similar sensation when we do this in the non-physical. So you don't think about it, you just do it. Also, just to point out 2 common ways you can tell the difference between a dream and astral projection. If you're, in doubt, you can measure it by, in a dream, you can control absolutely anything without limits. If you want to move buildings, if you want to move planets, you can do that. But in the astral, you're not able to manipulate things like this. Similarly, the astral won't react to your experiences. So, for example, if you open a door in a dream and expect there to be a beautiful woman or man behind it, then that's most likely what you'll get in a dream. But if you do it in the astral, anything could be behind that door, just like in the physical. The astral is always surprising and fresh like that. In reality, you don't need to test your experiences like that, because once you're out there, once you're out of body, the objectiveness and energy of it feels imbued with life and essence, and all with mind-boggling detail. The experience really does speak for itself, especially when compared to a phantom, ghost-like dream which has no substance. You know, the only substance is your own thoughts. But of course, if you're not practicing being aware of your own thoughts, then you won't be able to tell the difference between reality and thoughts. And this is also related to, you know, this is synonymous with self-healing, because, and it is related to, this is a healthy practice to do, because, you know, as you grow older, some people develop mental health issues and they can't tell the difference between their thoughts and reality. So we have to become aware. It's not just about having cool experiences. This is integral to our own health overall. So here's a sort of similar diagram I made, which is a vague and generalized example of how consciousness ascends in different layers of reality according to its degree of awareness. And as you can see, there are many more profound dimensions beyond the astral. Actually, astral projection is not just about traveling to the astral plane. You can visit dimensions known as the mental plane, the causal plane, and beyond. But those are, you know, tremendously profound, and we won't discuss that today. And there are also, you know, kind of sub-dimensions in the astral as well, such as the lower astral, or the astral, which is parallel to the physical, or the astral, you know, the higher astral, which are kind of like, you know, heavens. But the real heavens are above the astral. Okay. Each keyword can also be placed, of course, in different layers, but I've placed them according to the most generalized and common ways we relate to these words. Like fears being, you know, unconscious, dreams being controllable and infinite environments, but the astral being limited, like the physical. As you can see, you know, higher dimensions, greater realities are places beyond the ego in a way. You have to have a certain degree of enlightenment to get there. So I've talked a lot about going beyond our ego, right? But don't let that be a self-limiting belief like, oh, I have ego, so I'm not worthy enough. No, it doesn't matter who you are. You just need to be able to exercise self-awareness so you can visit these dimensions. Now, we can go back to any of these slides if you have questions about them afterwards. Okay. Now, I'm going to read this out. Don't worry about trying to go through it all. So let's get on to a basic step-by-step method on practicing astral projection based on what we've discussed today. I'm just going to lay it out flat for you. This is not the only way you can do it. It's just a generalized approach which can work for anyone. If it doesn't work for you or you don't like it, then find a different way. There are many books on astral projection. And, you know, on top of all this, if you're really determined, I recommend getting your own book and kind of, you know, read it as your own little Bible daily for, you know, to feed your intellectual mind with something. Because as I've been saying, our intellect is it's always, you know, doubting ourselves, questioning, but we need to just, you know, be a bit disciplined. So let's get on to this basic step-by-step method. Number one, go to sleep as you normally would. Don't worry about anything, okay? Have a good rest. Number two, wake up after 4 to 5 hours of sleep. It could be 3 hours, 6 hours, okay? Depends who you are. And number three, get out of bed. Go sit in a chair. Center yourself. Be free from thoughts. Only focus on your intention to leave your body when you go back to sleep soon. Make sure you stay in a drowsy and sleepy state. So you can easily go back to sleep, soon after this. Okay. Don't wake yourself up too much. If you can drink or have food, but if that wakes you up, if it's too stimulating, don't eat or drink anything. Or if you're just too sleepy and you find yourself falling asleep, then maybe eat something. Put a light on. Okay, we have to experiment. Number 4, affirm to yourself repeatedly, I will leave my body as soon as it falls to sleep. You're essentially meditating here, right? Number 5, once you feel focused enough, go back to bed and continue the affirmation as you fall to sleep. Don't doubt yourself, don't question it too much. This is just practice. And you can adopt a kind of mind awake, body asleep sensation. Number 6, when you fall to sleep or at any point during the rest of your sleep, you may begin to feel intense vibrations all over your body. They kind of feel like an earthquake, a tremor, or kind of like you're being electrocuted, but there's no pain. It's just, it can just feel intense, right? So, and you also may hear extrasensory sounds or things in your vision. Do not become overwhelmed. Get comfortable and acquainted with them. Just allow them to amplify. Don't be scared. And as they intensify, everything will come to a sort of crescendo. There'll be so many sounds, so many vibrations, and you'll begin to feel the energy more intensely. This is the energy of your astral body. And you'll find yourself begin to float out of your body. Or if you're not naturally floating out, you can just get up as you would with your physical body, but you're not getting up with your physical body, right? You don't think about it, you just get up. Once you're in that energetic state and you merge with it, you just get up and you'll get up out of your body. Once you're out, you'll see your physical body sleeping peacefully in bed. Okay? And number 7, the best thing to do is just get outside of your house. A lot of people they get freaked out when they see their physical body sleeping next to them, and the fear snaps them back. So get out of your house, walk down your road, and explore. Okay? And it's important to note that have no expectations. And expectation creates disappointment. Be patient. Experiment like a scientist over many nights with different variations, such as waking up after 6 hours instead of 3 hours or 4 hours. Stay up longer or shorter when you do wake up in the middle of the night. Or try different mantras such as mind awake, body asleep, or I am separating from my physical body. Repeat these things. Or I can leave my body easily. If you really want to astral project, you will do it. The point of affirmations is that you can plant seeds of willpower and intention and belief, self-belief into your subconscious, so that your subconscious mind will do the work for you while your physical body sleeps peacefully. Have you ever intended to wake up at a specific time without an alarm? It works, right? It's just the same. Now, also, if it's your first time astral projecting, you might feel very heavy. You might not be able to walk properly. It's absolutely normal. It's like getting used to a new body consciously. It's a really common thing. You might not even be able to see very clearly. Everything might be very dark. But with practice, it all becomes, second nature. Just like how a baby learns to walk. They just do it with practice. And it's also important to know, you may want to look into basic lucid dreaming practices, such as doing reality checks. Does everyone know what a reality check is? Okay, a few people. If you don't know what it is, it means, most people do, jump in the physical, jump like 10 times a day in the physical, and just through habit, you will do it in a dream. And if you float in the dream, if you intend in the physical, if you intend to jump and float, then and you don't float, then you know you're in the physical. But if you jump in a dream and you float and you fly, well, then you know it's a dream, right? Or you know the astral. And also learn. You have to. This is crucial. You need to learn to recall your dreams. We need to strengthen our ability to recall dreams every morning, because actually you can have the most amazing astral projection experiences that you want to tell all your friends about. But if you're doing it, if you're not remembering your dreams, you can have all these experiences and seriously, you will not remember them. This has happened to me too many times where I forgot to recall when I woke up. And 6 hours later, I remembered that, oh my God, I had an astral projection experience. I remembered something amazing about it, but I couldn't recall all of it, right? The level of detail was small because I waited too long. So your brain's connection to non-physical memories can become very strong with practice. It just takes a few days. Do it every day, it becomes a habit, and you'll remember all your dreams. So, some mornings I can recall over 7 different dreams, all different stories with different characters and all sorts of things. You can, take a screenshot, or, if you ask me on Reddit or Discord, or maybe ask Tarot Frog, I don't mind. You can have any of the slides in this presentation if you want.
Cool. I'll make sure to post them.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so one thing you should also be aware of is that no matter what technique you use, if you want to leave the body directly, that is, have the actual distinctive energetic sensation of leaving and separating from the body, as opposed to, projecting from a dream. Because when you astral project from a dream, there is an energetic shift as well. You can feel vibrations, but it's not as direct and it's not as apparent as when we physically leave our body, from our bedrooms, from our sleeping physical bodies. So, when this happens, it always happens within the precise moment of, it happens within the precise moment between wakefulness and sleep. Let me get the pen. Here, okay? In between here, this is where it happens, all right? Now, too many people stress over, oh, Gene, I stayed in bed for like 2 hours, and I tried leaving the body, and it didn't work. Well, please don't do that. It's just, you're not going to get anywhere, because you need to pass through the gate of sleep. You need to go to sleep. Don't worry if you fail. You need to go to sleep. There's no point staying awake and thinking, I'm going to come out my body, going to come out my body. If you're doing that for like 3 hours, you're definitely doing something wrong. You need to relax. So this is why it is very effective to wake up multiple times during your sleep, because you have the opportunity to detach from your body in the instantaneous moments when you wake up, and also when you go to sleep. Okay, when you wake up, you pass this little phase here, and when you go to sleep, you also pass it here. So sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and directly leave my body. Or sometimes when I wake up and then go back to sleep, I leave during that time. Anytime you pass through the gate of sleep, this little gate here, you have the opportunity to leave the body. And actually, if you're very determined, a good idea you can do is wake up every 2 hours during your sleep. Of course, you don't want to do this if you're very busy the next day. And so, as you can see here, as we go to sleep, non-physical awareness gradually grows and physical awareness begins to numb, and eventually, boom, all the physical sensations that are distinctive to astral projection suddenly become very loud and clear. You're in the hypnagogic stage, and you hear, you experience all sorts of sounds or sensations. And, when it happens, just remain like an impartial Zen monk and just, continue and eventually just try and get up out of your body. And as you can see here, as this happens, you'll be completely unaware of your physical body, completely unaware. There is no awareness of it. You don't need to be scared that, you're dead or you're not going to go back to your physical body. If you want to go back, you just intend it and you will go back to your physical body. Okay, and you'll only be aware of your astral body. Okay. So the next bit is just to entertain you guys who are interested in the occult or Kabbalah, because I know a lot of you in this community like those topics. And as I said at the start, you can relate the reality of astral plane to anything. And so here's how it relates to the dimensions of reality in the context of Kabbalah. In other words, the tree of life. Sorry, I keep putting this way. Okay. So I won't go too much into this. You can ask questions after if you like. We're almost finished. I learned about Kabbalah in Gnosticism, naturally, but I wasn't overly interested in it. So you guys probably know more than me or may have your own ways to understand it. But here's mine in relation to astral projection. As you can see, the astral plane is located in the 5th dimension, above time and space, right? The 4th dimension is time, 3rd dimension is physical, and this we have the dimension above time and space, beyond time and space. Okay, you can also see that there is an inverted Kabbalah here, which is essentially where we dream and where our ego is and where the enormous subconscious lies. As you know, if you've studied Kabbalah, all these realms are very profound. So, we're not just, we're not like gods, right? We are gods, but I mean, there are some people who are very egotistical and say, I am God, I am everything. No, we've not truly realized these yet. It takes a bit of life experience. So we have this here, okay? And, this is also essentially what we call the hell realms. Similarly, this is just purely symbolic. This is what you can also call Satan's tail, right? Where the ego is. Okay, I'm not trying to fearmonger or be weird. As I said, you can't fear these things if you understand them logically and scientifically. An interesting fact that some of you may know is that the Christmas tree, I've lost my pen again. I'm not going to go get it. The Christmas tree in the corner actually originally symbolizes the tree of life. Just a fun fact for you. The lights and baubles that we put on them symbolize when our consciousness awakens to those inner musical spheres of the soul. In other words, the little circles, the sephirots on the Kabbalah. And you, of course, have the star or angel at the top of the tree of life, where the highest and most sublime dimensions exist, such as the Ayin and the Ayin Sof, right? You can also see here how lower dimensions, I get this again. You can also see here how the lower dimensions, I'm going to throw this at the wall. Oh my gosh. There we go. You can see here how the the lower dimensions here, they have more laws to them, meaning they're more dense. And with more laws means more mental and emotional entanglements, which means more suffering. And it can be more challenging for us to escape. To escape which, to that which we call oneness or unity or trinity at the top, which is what we hear about different religions and spiritual teachings, right? Such as, the law of one, which has become very popular recently. So, we also have to not think about this in terms of wondering where we are, right? In reality, we are in all of those spheres, some more than others. We are connected to all of them. But it's safe to assume that we're mostly in these lower regions here. We sometimes, keep going up and down, kind of, or different lights on the Christmas tree light up during our lives. Maybe when we're in love, or we feel very, very blissful and enlightened, right? But we're mostly in these lower regions, humanity, especially in lower regions. Maybe some of you are a bit more higher because, this is a spiritual community and there's not many people like us, right? And but we can still feel all these because, we are the universe itself, right? We can connect to the highest dimensions. We are a microcosmic expression of the macrocosmos. And, we are members of this creation. We are creation itself. And, especially those moments of great peace or love, or that feeling that religious people have of God, right? Is when they connect to these parts. But of course, there's a lot of religious people who mix their feeling of divinity with their own ego or delusions. But the fact is, divinity is still there in its purity, free from human stains of perception, right? Of opinions, etc. Here's a similar diagram by an author called Jürgen Siever. I highly recommend his books. He's by far my favorite author on the subject of out-of-body exploration. The point here is to show in a crude way the relationship between dimensions and how dimensions and consciousness are in fact multidimensional realities. Just like how science is pointing towards the fact that there could be multiple physical universes. There are an infinite number of dimensions in the universe. Which one you're connected to all depends on what you choose to be in according to your own specific mold or energy of consciousness. And as I said at the start, it all starts with living presently from moment to moment, being aware of who and what we are, and paying attention to phenomena in waking and sleeping consciousness, being alert, awake, and having the capacity for critically inquiring into these experiences with a spiritual, but also a scientific investigative approach, free from fear. It is a great journey within yourself, and if you ask me what the purpose of life is, it is this: the awakening of consciousness, to grow, learn, and become conscious of ourselves, to know ourselves, and to wake up out of our own dreams and illusions of reality. Not becoming greater people with superpowers, but becoming less of ourselves, doing the work of chiseling away at our own physical, mental blocks that stop us from intuiting non-physical realities. Astral projection applies to all of us. Why? Because all of us will die. Astral projection is an opportunity for us to die before we die, to get ready for the death of the physical body, which will surely be our greatest journey of all. We do this by dying to every moment in order to live more fully, and also coming out of body is like a mini death too, like a mini near-death experience, but a controlled, and awe-inspiring one, free from fear and completely sane, with your full and normal sense of self. Just how you feel where you are right now. And on one last note, I just want to say, the purpose of this talk has not been for you to say, wow, Gene, you're right. I agree with everything you're saying. You're amazing. You had all these experiences. You have all this knowledge. No, the point has been for me to try and convince you that you have all the tools within yourself to go about this kind of discovery for yourself. And that you are the only teacher who can do this effectively. You can teach yourself effectively. The guru is in you. Okay, all right, I think that's enough for now. I could talk for hours, but I think it's better after all that information to answer your questions now. I'm just going to be a couple of minutes, get some water. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves and try to think of specific questions. This is the same principle in the astral. If you ask a vague question in the astral, you'll get a vague answer. But if you ask a specific one, you're more likely to get a specific answer. The kind of questions we ask say a lot about ourselves, right? Okay, I'll just be 2 minutes.
Cool. See you in 2 minutes.
Amazing.
Yeah. Hey, this is where it gets real, guys.
Let's
everybody start thinking your questions.
In a couple minutes when Gene gets ready.
That was so good, dude. Dude, that was so
Hey, man,
good.
Hi, what's up?
So good.
Hey,
I'm
Frog.
so excited to
I heard you said you had meditations on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
How about
every
you?
Tuesday there's 2 sessions.
Um,
One for EU session, EU time zone, and one for the US.
Okay. I'm not in any URI or anything. I'm just offering. I already give meditation class in real life, and in Gene's Discord we do like group meditations and thing. And that's something I'd be interested to look into if you're looking for more people to teach eventually.
Oh, that'd be
I'm not
awesome.
sure.
Yeah,
Hello. Nice to
you're
meet you,
already in the
Zach.
Discord, right?
Hello.
Yeah, I just joined again. I used to be, but I wasn't really active much. But now I'm back. And
That's great.
you mean the VR mystery, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
I'll
wasn't
be
there
sure to
lately.
send you
That's
That's awesome.
Awesome, thank you.
Freak style.
What time are the
Are you
US time
coming
classes?
to Vienna, right? In August.
It is at
3 weeks.
9 p.m.
When?
Eastern Standard Time.
I'm coming in 3 weeks.
You can
Alright.
also find this
In 3
information
weeks.
in the
Oh, okay.
Discord or the
Marlies
lobby
just said
of
actually
this
it's
world.
2
There's
weeks
also
till we
a board
come.
with,
2 weeks,
dates
all right.
and times
Just
and all that.
tell
2
me when
weeks
you're there.
today we'll arrive.
Is that in this?
Cool. Well then.
Yeah.
Is the
It's,
class in
uh,
this
pretty-
world or
pretty
just over
much
Discord?
in person. It's in this world.
I wish I was in VR.
Yeah.
I might transition.
You will.
Alright, cool. Thank you.
Dude, I'm
I don't
so
know what we're gonna
excited.
do around coronavirus.
I'm just testing. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I'm on the,
Maybe in person.
I had to go on the laptop
maybe-
because my Oculus Quest crashed.
Maybe not.
Yeah, sorry,
So-
my brain is getting
Yeah,
scanned.
maybe outside.
I missed the whole thing.
But,
Yeah,
it's all in
yeah,
the
we've been trying to
future.
figure out what we feel is
But, yeah,
totally
folks,
safe for New
Maybe
Year's.
one more reminder,
possible.
please
Sure.
use optimized
Yeah.
avatars if
Makes
you can.
sense.
Use the default VR one if you have to. Because I think we might be getting a little lag due to avatars.
Are you a lot in social
Thank you.
involved right now?
Every Monday and sometimes more. Creek started running some of the Wednesday night sessions.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm definitely committed to every Monday night class. This mystery school is awesome. I mean, it looks beautiful. It's the first time I've been here.
Really?
Oh, is it really?
Why are you
No
here?
way.
I saw
Really
you
not.
in here and I came in.
I thought this
Okay. I'm here
was
more
9
often than
o'clock.
Joshi
It says on the
actually.
Discord. It started earlier or something.
Yeah, I've run into you a couple
Started at
times.
8 o'clock.
Oh my god, Joe.
Hey, sorry, one
Look
second.
amazing.
No, I'm saying I thought
This
this
is the optimized
lecture
avatar.
started at 9. It
Yeah,
seems to
you're
start early.
optimized in many ways. I see spiritually.
In many
Well, it
ways.
might be a time zone thing.
Okay,
Alright,
shall we have some
Very well.
questions?
Yeah, sure. Take your seats, everybody. Q&A time.
Yeah. I'll try my best.
Magus, you want to take a seat?
Explain or answer your questions.
I guess
fully.
the best way to do this would be if people use the hand emoji to show that they want to ask a question, and I'll come up to you, and we can go by everybody that way. Is that a good idea?
Does anyone not know how to use the hand emoji? Everyone should be good then. So I will do my best to answer your questions. I've had a lot of experiences. Honestly, I tell you, 11 years of this, I still don't have enough experience, but hopefully I can do my best. And of course, as I've been saying, even when I was in my Gnostic group, knowledge is different from experience, and I've been really practical with all this as much as possible. I've not gone too much into many books, and my knowledge is limited like everyone else. So let's have some questions.
I guess I can be so bold
to
start it out,
Zygo?
maybe, if you don't mind, Gene.
Oh, okay. I'll come to you next, Zalgo. Yeah, go on, Tara Rita.
You mentioned, that people should stop dreaming. It sounded a bit like, what I've read in the Tibetan yogas of dream and sleep, where this pretty hardcore group of Buddhists seem to be of the opinion that, anytime unconsciously sleeping is time wasted because you're not practicing your Buddhist practices, right? But that seems a little hardcore. Like, to an average person, would you really recommend they do everything they can to eliminate, restful sleep or dreaming from their life that way? Or what would you say about that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, astral projection, some people say different things. For me, okay, take it from me. When I wake up from an astral projection, they are the most restful sleeps that I've had. Now, maybe not if I've been to kind of lower dimension where things are quite dense, but honestly, 95% of my experiences, I've woken up with this rejuvenation, this new energy, right? Because these are we're usually connecting to higher realms. So it absolutely, I've not experienced that it affects your level of energy at all. You can have more restful sleeps actually. Instead of being asleep, dreaming in fragmented consciousness, and then you wake up all groggy and your mind is everywhere and dispersed, right? If you're astral projecting, your consciousness is more gathered together, and you have a better sleep. But yeah, just to address that. But as you said, yes, it is it kind of does seem extreme. And of course, we all need to take our own, we need to approach it in the way that we can personally handle. We don't just go into it and, try to just be perfect. No, it all starts, wherever you start, it's where you are now. It's where you feel now. All it takes, it seems like it takes a lot of effort. But actually, it doesn't really take effort to just be aware, of what you're thinking in the moment, just be aware of what you're doing. And actually, you don't need to force yourself to stop dreaming, to stop thinking, because through awareness, through true awareness, through deep self-inquiry, you will naturally overcome things that you don't want to be anymore, if that makes sense. You will transcend your level of thinking. Like in the book Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, he says, what you accept, you go beyond. But you can't accept what you're not aware of yet, right? So it all just starts with awareness. Just with who you are, and you do this day to day. You learn about yourself, and then you see new things about yourself. Usually we don't like them, but we just accept them. And then what you accept, you go beyond. You have the opportunity to accept it and you go beyond. And this is learning. This is growing. This is expanding. So sometimes, yes, it can seem it's a bit extreme, but it's not when you just take step by step approach and be gentle with yourself. You don't need to get into a harsh relationship with yourself, because that would just be developing a worse relationship with ourselves. We get more confused, we get more angry with ourselves, right? If you get angry with yourself and stuff, you just need to observe that. Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like it's such a great effort, right? You have to ask yourself, if you think this is all such a great effort, why? Ask yourself, why do I think this is such a great effort? What is within me that I feel is so great, is so in my way? So, like I've been saying, self-inquiry and gentle self-inquiry. We don't need stress at all.
Right.
I hope that somewhat answers your question.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, who's next?
Is Algo? You had your hand up before.
One more thing. I'm sorry. I do hear a bit of mic feedback from the crowd. So if everybody could make sure their microphone's muted. I think Art Mages. Yeah, thank you. That's much better. Okay, sorry, Gene. Go ahead.
Yeah. Zalko, you had a question.
Yeah, I have two short questions. So, do you know Robert Monroe and the documentary "The Path Beyond the Physical"? And the second question is, you distinguished a lot between these different realms of reality, I would say, but aren't we experiencing them at once? And actually, it would also be possible to go to the astral plane while in the waking state.
Okay. Yeah. Great question. Yeah. Kind of three questions there. So Robert Monroe, I've seen a few of his works. As I've said, I've been focusing on my own experiences. I have been intending to look at his work, but no, you'll find most authors in this field have read his work, especially people from older generations who are like 40 or 50. They all, he's like a father of out-of-body experiences, right? But no, I've not had time to really look into him yet, but from what I've seen, I definitely recommend his works, especially because the authors that I look up to recommend him so much. As for different dimensions, yes, like I said in the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, we're connected to them all. But it depends. It really just depends where your awareness is situated. Like I said, consciousness is fragmented. I had a very peculiar experience kind of recently where I was in the astral and I saw my partner. She was out of body in the astral unconsciously. I was talking to her and I could see that she was not aware, right? And she was just, in the house. I didn't want to, try and wake her up, but I actually tried to wake her up, right? I said to her, "Hey, you're in the astral right now. Wake up, look around you." And as I did that, I saw another body of hers come out, through the wall and start to merge with her. It was slowly floating and merging with her. Now, she started to get like really confused and scared. I was like, I didn't want to like cause anything weird here, so I said, no, it's okay. But this said to me, I interpret this as, our consciousness is fragmented, and truly in a real way in the astral. She was in the astral here where I was in our house, but that another body of hers, another kind of dream body, must have been somewhere else. So in a way, I'm starting to suspect, maybe we already have these bodies in all these layers, but it all just depends on where we are. So yeah, it's just a matter of our fragmentation. and really trying to gather those parts of ourselves. And yeah, we can be in a lower dimension and a higher dimension. It all just depends on our kind of energy, right? If one is very fearful, one is very pessimistic, then usually we find ourselves in lower realities. Or if we kind of come into ourselves more, we ascend into higher realities. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to explain, but I hope that kind of explains that. You said something else? You wanted me to clarify about something?
No, that was it
I can't
actually. Thank
remember.
you for sharing. So
Okay.
I only the only thing I added was like the path beyond the physical is a documentary, but it's actually based on Monroe and his work. So that you actually answered that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Next question.
Anyone else? Yep.
Yeah, can I go ahead?
Celestial Vamp. Oh, sorry. I just saw Celestial Vamp first. Yeah. What's your question?
Okay, so you mentioned stuff about how like there was amplified like sensations and stuff during astral projection, as well as like say like comparative to like a lucid dream where you may try to manipulate your environment but you can't, or it doesn't like necessarily work. So I'm wondering, are those things exclusive to astral projection? Because I know that I do lucid dreaming and I have experienced those things. And what does that mean? Maybe I was astral projecting and didn't know it, or it was just lucid dreaming differently.
Can you give an example of what you experienced?
So one thing I find a lot of the time, when I'm embracing another person, I feel sensations that I could never experience in waking reality. Like the love and like passion, it's very amplified. As well as say like trying to go around the corner and see someone, but it doesn't work. Or like say like one thing, like using my gun as a finger, like my fingers as a gun, but then it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, we can be in the astral unconsciously, and actually in the astral, it is still possible to conjure up things. One thing I've noticed is what a really common thing, right? Everyone's obsessed with their phones, and in the astral, you actually see most people. One way you can tell if someone's like really just not aware they're in the astral, they have a phone on them. One guy was really he commented on my YouTube, just really angry, saying, "How can phones exist in the astral?" Right? It's just a conjuration. It's just a projection of one's subconscious. So the thing is, you can conjure up things in the astral, but it takes a lot of energy. Whereas in dreams, it's very easy. It's very direct. There's no kind of you don't need any power to do it. So yeah, I've made a video on my YouTube. It's called shared dreams and non-shared astral projection, and it just kind of goes into how these realities can mix. And I think, like you said, when you feel sensations and feelings of other people in dreams, those things are kind of merging from objectivity to and they're coming into your own subconscious. And because our relationships with other people are something that is very direct. You can really our connections with people are so influential, and they always influence our dreams. We always dream about other people, so usually we're always putting out thoughts to other people, kind of astral thoughts. Most of you you probably think, when you think about someone, it's actually quite common that other person is probably thinking about you too. And that's why we have to be good in our thoughts too. If we're putting out bad thoughts about someone else, then we're probably sending them some kind of negative energy as well, right? And we can receive those things as well, and this can all be interpreted in dreams. So I hope that kind of points towards clarification of that, right? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just the only thing is, say with the amplified, just maybe not being able to control everything easily, is that still possible just to happen in a normal lucid dream too, though? Maybe.
Like you're asking if it's possible to have a lucid dream where you run into the wall, where you're not able to control the things.
Yeah, I guess
intended,
based on my experiences,
right?
Yes.
Like that's the condition.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, if I find myself in a dream, and I know it's a dream because absolutely ridiculous things are happening. I'm on, like, I don't know, the Titanic, and there's all sorts of just ridiculous things going on. And I have superpowers or something. Just ridiculous when I know it's a dream, but I can't control it and I can't break the dream. Then I usually just follow the dream because it's like my subconscious has showed me something, or I'm in a part of my subconscious that is so powerful and so ingrained within my own consciousness that I can't break it. So it's a learning experience, and this is why dreams are very important as well. We shouldn't ignore our dreams. We should learn from them. So if you ever find yourself in a dream and you just can't break it, don't be frustrated that you can't break it and you want really because of your desire to astral project. It's better to follow the dream and just see where it goes and see, you're literally directly looking at subconscious creations of your own mind, and you'll be quite impressed by what you're seeing, and you'll contemplate and wonder and inquire into it, and you can also ask the characters what they mean, or just go into it. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick question,
yeah.
real quick. All right,
Okay.
so I read your book. First off, I want to start by saying it was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? It went hard.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Question I have is, you mentioned Egyptian mantra, the 5 Ra on. My question is, what is your experience as far as, carrying it out? And then also, in my experience, I've tried doing it, but it's like, I guess I'm a little bit too focused on the mantra that I don't end up being able to fall asleep like I should. So my question is, how were you able to deal with that? Or how would you recommend going about, mantras, as far as like, how intensely should we be focused on the actual mantra itself, or should we actually be just trying to be focused and, fall asleep saying it?
Yeah. I think you answered the question yourself, actually. Yeah, you need to fall asleep. So I have a little Discord, and two people have, or 2 or 3 had success with it. So it's possible for me. So I will go to sleep sometimes. I'll do the mantra. For everyone else, by the way, the mantra is on my YouTube channel, and it's called my simple step-by-step method on how to astral project. It's completely different to what I showed you in this screen, so you can check that out later if you want. The mantra, it's called Fa Ra On, and you just Fa Ra On, and I'm actually planning to make another video with all the astral projection mantras that I was taught in Gnosticism. I'm going to explain how each one affects our energy according to its particular sound, according to what I was taught in this kind of Gnostic science. So yeah, you need to just you go to sleep with the most kind of relaxed state of mind as you can, and you just do the mantra. You don't focus on it too intensely. You just keep saying it, and you just kind of watch yourself saying it. But yeah, you really answered the question. Go to sleep. And if you can't go to sleep while doing it, I recommend doing it during a wake back to bed method, right? So getting up in the middle of the night so that you're more sleepy. If you're still quite awake and you're not tired, then you won't go to sleep, right? And you need to, don't worry about doing the mantra perfect, because as you fall to sleep and as you keep saying it, I'm describing how it happens for me as well. You'll start saying it with different orders, and you kind of feel drunk. You start going into a trance, and you kind of feel really groggy, and then you'll just go to sleep. And this mantra was taught that eventually, without knowing how, okay? Because the mind always wants to know how. Without knowing how, at some point in your sleep, you'll find yourself in the astral, and you'll remember it as long as you've been training on remembering your dreams. Always work on remembering your dreams first. Yeah.
Got it.
I hope that
okay
answers it a bit.
Yeah, that helped a lot. Because I've been doing mindful meditations every day. As far as that's what I'm trying to do, is just more aware. The second question is just, you mentioned that you had a Discord server. I would like to join that if possible.
Yeah, info about that will be posted in our Discord after the presentation. So links to Gene's platforms and all his contacts and stuff will be posted after this. Don't worry about that.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. I do have a little Patreon. It is.
Oh, you're lagging a bit again, Gene. Could you repeat that?
Am I being kicked? Okay, I'm back in the room. I thought I was going there. Yeah, I do have a little Patreon. It's like a $3 Patreon, just kind of a support thing. And, because, it would be nice to do this full time. I'm a high school teacher in my day job. So, that goal is to kind of do this full time maybe one day. But yeah, with that, there's a little private Discord server. However, if you don't want to pay for that, I'm also in the Astral Lounge Discord, which I'm there and active, and you can ask me questions there as well. Tarot Frog will, I think, post that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Ash, yeah.
Yeah,
was that Ash? Did you put your hand up?
About, you mentioned something about breaking the dream. You know me already. I do a lot of meditation. And
Ash is a staff in the Astral Lounge Discord, by the way. Yeah, go on.
So when I meditate, I don't even try to AP, and I'll get into the hypnagogic state thing. Like that's really easy for me to get into this hypnagogic state. You mentioned the phone in the astral. I'll usually just have like hallucination of me scrolling through my phone or my computer, and it's purely random, but there's this awareness that it's aware of it. So, and I can't really deny it. And then you mentioned the vibration. So I'll be just really aware of all these things, but I'm not going to be able to break the dream, as you say. Or if I do, I'll just wake up in another dream. And it really makes it difficult to write my dream, because instead of like having one or two big dreams during the night, I'll wake up and I'll have to choose between 50 dreams to write. And sometimes that prevents me to actually write anything down, because I'm gonna need the whole day to write everything down. Of course, I'm limiting myself to short sentence and all that, but sometimes it's just so confusing. It's like, how do you put all of this into words? It makes no sense anyway. And sometimes there's no beginning or no ending to these dreams. And sometimes I write my dream and I'm wondering if I'm still dreaming, because sometimes it happens during the dream that I'll be writing in my journal. And then I'll realize mid-writing that I'm not actually awake. So how do you like deal with this? Do you have like a routine when you wake up? Do you just pick your journal right away, or you do something? Maybe you do a reality check. I don't know. Jump on your bed.
The important, I think, reality checks are great all the time. I mean, if you can do them all the time, they're great. I think a eventually you also pick up a kind of always reality checking awareness, right? We're always questioning our reality. We don't need to do reality checks all the time. But also, just to point out quickly, you raised a good point that we can have these experiences without the intention of astral projection as well. Jürgen Sieber, the author I mentioned, is a great example of this. He meditated for, I think, it was something like 10 or 20 years, every day for an hour. And this was back in like the 60s or the 70s. And he found himself starting to have out of body experiences without intention, spontaneously, because he develops, he's a good meditator and he knows how to astral project. Sorry, he knows how to maintain his awareness. So, and back then there was no information on out of body experiences, astral projection. And he thought that he was mentally sick, and so eventually he had to go to libraries and realize that this is a new dimension of consciousness in the non-physical. So yes, to answer your question, when I get up in the morning, I try my best not to move my physical body, and I just recall the experiences. I don't write them down straight away. It's best to try to keep your physical body still. Once you move it, you start going into the realm of physicality. So just wake up, stay still, and recall everything in detail, vivid detail. Just see it all before you write it down. Go through everything, every detail. The important thing is just detail. If you have so many dreams, I have a lot sometimes as well. I don't write them down in all like so much detail. Just try to get specific ones that help your memory to recall those specific stories that played out in your head. And you don't need to stress too much about recalling everything if you had so much. I mean, it's a great sign that you're having so many recall dreams. Does that kind of answer the question?
That's one thing I get from your presentation is that I thought I was coming here to like learn something new, and I did, of course, but I realized that I'm closer than I thought I was to this whole thing. But what you are suggesting, from my past experience, when I don't move my body when I wake up and I try to recall a dream, I'll try again since you suggested, but usually I'll just fall asleep again or go back into another dream, and it's hard to like it's just harder to distinguish between waking reality and the dream, because I could be dreaming that I'm recalling a dream. And this is where it gets
do you have many lucid dreams?
Every night.
Okay, so I mean, once you're lucid, have you ever tried meditating in the dream?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like it happened on purpose. It's more like okay, I'm aware that my dream character is like meditating or something, but nothing too intense or crazy.
Yeah. Have you tried my? It's one of my videos on how to. It's a method specifically for astral projecting from a lucid dream. Have you tried? So once you're lucid, fly up into the sky very, very fast. Have you tried that?
No, because usually when I lucid dream, I'm more like a
celestial
right now,
phantasm.
where like I'm sitting on a chair and I'm just watching the movie, and I want to see where it goes, so I let the dream flow. I never really had that sensation of control unless I'm about to wake up. Then I'll get a bit more but that's usually where the dream breaks. But when the dreams breaks, I'm into waking reality, not into the astral or something.
So I would say try next time you're lucid, fly up really high. The sensation of falling or flying can induce vibrations as well, and the act of just flying up really high gets you out of that narrative of the dream of whatever. Maybe you're in a building, you're back in your school. It just gets you out of that narrative, and you go up, and then you have the feeling of space, and space, and it is so profound, right? Even if it's just in a dream, and you'll start feeling vibrations. For me, it's a very effective way to enter the astral plane from a dream. Yeah.
I usually experience the opposite.
Yeah.
I fell down stairs or fell down from an elevator, and then I wake up. So I guess I can see why that would help.
When people have vibrations, it's common for people to wake up because it's like you can't handle. I've experienced it so many times. It's like you can't handle the energy. It's like, oh, I don't want to take this on. When we feel this energetic, this energy, which can often feel like falling, you have to just like be intoxicated with it, right? You have to learn to like that feeling. And if you do, and you go into it and you merge with it, you'll find yourself in some interesting reality.
Gene, I just had a quick question. You've been mentioning meditation a lot. I was just wondering if you distinguish between different styles of meditation. And for example, if you would recommend something different for cultivating mindfulness than you would for, the example you just gave of the kind of thing to do in a dream. What kind of different meditation techniques do you acknowledge and use? Can you say something about that?
So meditation, there is like a kind of, there are different types of meditation, right? We meditate on, an artist can meditate on their canvas. We can meditate on our egos. We can meditate on looking at things. But the most purest form of meditation is simply observing oneself, and not just observing, but getting to a point where there is no more observer, no more observed, no more duality within yourself. It's a profound coming into yourself, because it's one thing to have all your thoughts and observe them, and another thing to stop, to kind of rein in those thoughts and be at a level of peace and clear thinking. So, I mean, I'm not so familiar with a lot of like teachings or traditions on meditation, but really just the most profound, just observing oneself, just being aware of ourselves, absolutely whatever form arises within the mind. And you will see it's impossible to be bored within meditation. Impossible, because there's always something to observe. If you're bored in meditation, you observe the meditation. You ask why you're bored in meditation. You will find there is always something to investigate, always something to observe. Maybe you were upset about the day. Maybe you're upset about something. Maybe you're just too excited about something that's happening in the future. There is so much going on in the mind, and just simply observing them is kind of a form of lucid dreaming while in the physical, right?
Would you say that's something akin to contemplation also? Because
yes,
for example,
absolutely.
The meditation we do here on Tuesdays is where you not necessarily try to empty out your mind or anything, but focus on the breath on a certain area near the nostrils, and kind of returning to that upon distraction and so on. How do you feel that technique, for example, relates to this? Because it seems to be quite different from, for example, following things that come up and investigating them, if you know what I mean.
I mean, if you can combine both, because observing the breath and just being with the breath is wonderful, and it's wonderful for concentration as well. But meditation is absolutely about being, here and now, free from thoughts, and being, just like perfect in that state. But it's not just about being, feeling peace in the mind. It is about learning ourselves. It can be used as a tool for growth. And so there is a peculiar sensation when it's not just observing the mind, but kind of going beyond what we usually feel, and when we truly transcend certain energetic vibrations, right? We all have the anxieties and stuff. When we truly see our anxieties for what they are, without judgment, and we truly transcend them, then we get to a new level of peace within ourselves. We get to a new level of that silence. Suddenly, once you transcend certain anxieties, or you understand things about yourself, then when you observe the breath next, from that new state, from that more expanded state, observing the breath becomes far more joyful, and you become far more present. So yeah, both help.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks.
Hope that yeah. Okay, I think someone here, Mitchell, did you have your hand up
let's
or
go
something?
to the left side of the room a bit, because I've seen some hands there for a while.
Yeah. Anyone? Yeah, Art Majors. Sorry, Mitchell. He had his hand up first. I'll get to you next.
Yeah, I had I've been experimenting with hemisync and binaural beats.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your opinion is on those things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've.
Oh, did I lag out there? I was wondering what your opinion is on those. Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know much about binaural beats, but I have used them before. Just out of curiosity, and I've had success with them. So yeah, try them out. Astral projection, binaural beats. I mean, it makes sense, right? Our brain waves give particular like brainwave frequencies according to different states. So if you listen to them and it creates a sort of resonance in your mind, and you can sync with it, then sure, I'm sure it can help in some way. It's not necessary, but I think it can help. Whatever helps you, right? If it doesn't help you, don't do it. If it does help you, then use it. And of course, hemisync is based off, scientific research. People have had success with it. So yeah, I think they're fine to use.
All right, thanks. There was also a question from YouTube stream. I guess we kind of went over it with Zalgo's question, but somebody was asking if you look at the pyramid, for example, or the example you gave of different layers of the astral realms, so to speak, how would you navigate them? If you look at the Kabbalistic model, for example, the four worlds, how would somebody who is in the astral and in the saddle, so to speak, how would they go from where they are to wherever else they want to be? That was the question.
Yeah.
Kind of a technical question.
Intention.
Right.
Yeah, intention, really. We can go anywhere in the astral with intention. Now, of course, intending to go to a city is different from going to a higher dimension of consciousness, because to go to a city, you just think. But to go to a higher dimension of consciousness, you need to change the way you feel, the way your energy is. So as an example, for the most common way I've gone to profound realities, such as the mental plane, or just very profound dimensions, is I've chanted the mantra Om. Yeah, everyone knows that, right? Om. Yep. And you can try different mantras in the astral, but I've used this, and I suddenly, my body goes up, and I travel upwards really fast, and there's this entirely new sensation of energy, and then everything goes black, and then I find myself somewhere else.
I'm expecting to walk into a lecture today.
Would appreciate if you didn't interrupt.
And so yeah, this is, you know, everything that I've been talking about really is how we can do that. I think it's maybe easier to go to lower dimensions, such as the lower astral. Really, the best way for you to experiment is just to do it through intention. You can just think. You can just think about it. I want to go to the lower astral. I'll go there. I want to go to my house. I'll go there. I want to see someone. I'll go there. It's just pure intention. You just hold it in your mind. Your thoughts are and your feelings and your emotions and your desires are your kind of driving stick.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very great answer to that question. Do we have any other questions in the audience?
Okay. I think, Mitchell, you've had your hand up for a while now. I'll get to you after Kenneth. Mitchell, you did have your hand up, right? Oh.
You might need a moment to unmute. Yeah, there we go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, continue there
so my question is that...
Yeah.
So with your diagram and your description of moving from the physical to the astral sounds and is described very similar to experience of consuming the substance dimethyltryptamine. Do you think that it is possible that someone who consumes this substance is unaware in the astral?
So sorry, I didn't quite get that. So someone took DMT and then they weren't aware, they weren't conscious that they were in the astral or something?
I think what he's asking, is that would it be possible for somebody who uses substances, which by the way I should say, don't recommend it. Take care of whatever is safe and legal wherever you are. Whenever we discuss these things, it is not a recommendation whatsoever, but it is relevant to the discussion for some people. So again, I guess the question was if somebody uses specifically DMT, would there be some way in which they are in the astral but unaware of it? I guess that's what Mitchell is asking.
Yeah, great, thank you. So yes, it can happen. However, using substances is kind of like what I described in the lecture when I said about using microwave meals, right? You use it and you don't really understand how it works. And using substances is like, it's like getting in the back of a Ferrari, right? And or a rocket, and it just goes off and you have absolutely no control. And it's very easy to slip into unconsciousness. And more often than not, you will be kind of directed by your own ego rather than your own sobriety. We need sobriety, we need control, we need our own usual sense of self so that we can develop a gradual, steady practice, right? I have, in my university days back in, like 10 years ago, I have, tried cannabis, LSD, mushrooms, but I tell you, nothing, absolutely nothing compares to daily meditation and having sober astral experiences. I've experienced far more profound, far more ecstatic experiences than those student university days of, just trying substances. They can be a glimpse. They can kind of teach you, but if you're abusing them and you're using them more than once or twice or just all the time, it kind of becomes a crutch, right? You're abusing it. But they can teach you, but as Tarot Frog said, it's really not necessary, and I wouldn't explicitly recommend it to anyone. But I guess, everyone, we're all. Yeah.
But one thing about VR Mystery School, if you go into the library room we have here, there's many categories of all sorts of teachings and methods, that can get you again interesting and mystical and meaningful experiences, and none of them involve any substances. We've had discussions about this before, and most seasoned practitioners here seem to agree that it's worth putting in the practice and the time, because again, the experiences will be more profound, more earned, more relatable, within the framework of whatever you're studying and practicing, and just your personal journey in general. So
absolutely.
To wrap up that
and DMT, and DMT is like it's within it's naturally occurring within us, right? So why rely on an external substance to activate it when we can activate it ourselves? Okay. Did you need clarification? Did you have your hand up?
I think he did. Is your microphone working all right though, Mitchell? Because you've been a little quiet through, or since you asked.
Yeah, it's laggy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because he's on Quest. Normally he lags a little, and like it takes a second for him to hear the voices of other people.
Okay, I thought you were going to say he's on DMT.
My other question.
Yeah.
So my other question is, with proving of the astral, especially in your book, you mentioned that you could put an object with a sequence of numbers that you don't know about in another room and go in the astral and then confirm it that way and come out. I brought this up to a different group, and they said that's only proving the experience, but not the astral.
I mean, I don't see how it's separate, really, right? Because when you come out of body, you're in another dimension, right? You're not in the physical. If you were in the physical, people in the physical would see you. So astral is just a label, right? It's just a non-physical phenomena, whatever you want to call it. It's somewhere, and it proves it, right?
Think about Robert
right?
and Wilson,
I've had
Mitchell.
an experience.
The map isn't the territory. The language we use isn't, the exact phenomena. It can never be. We're just doing our best to use models and tools and ways to describe phenomena that comes close to reasonably explaining it. But I guess that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, I believe, and I hope modern science will look more into non-physical phenomena, and that it. I mean, there has been a lot of experiments and stuff, but I hope that that there is more. What's more important than scientific phenomena? Scientific studies, public media. And publicity, because people, like I've been saying, kind of like sheep, right? Lucid dreaming 40 years ago was not accepted as fact, and now it is. And because there's been so many movies, just people talking about it, so many books. So I think one day, we'll get there a bit more with astral projection, out of body experiences. And I've also had a experience on my YouTube channel. It's called how I proved astral projection is real, where you can listen to. Oh, I think you said you've read my book anyway, where I kind of proved that I saw something in the physical and went back to see it. And also, if you look into Graham Nichols and speak to him, when I spoke to him, he said he's had hundreds of those kind of experiences, because he's very scientific and he likes to have those kind of experiences. So yeah. Kenneth, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I don't want to take up much of your time, but
no problem.
Could you get a little closer to your microphone, Kenneth?
Yes, sure. So I've been experimenting with astral projection since I was like 12, but I didn't really accomplish anything before I was like 18.
Yeah.
And I was watching people like Eckhart Tolle and Bashar or Daryl Anka, and that led me on to my spiritual side of my life, and
yeah,
like I just got lost at the end, where I just like what can I even use all of this for? And then I just asked like I asked God or whatever you want to call yourself, can you give me something that I can actually use for something? And the day after, I got a few videos that ultimately led me into a astral projection experience just within a few days. And the experience was like something like this. I was in a kind of like a black void room where there was a door, and then there was a man in front of this door, and it said, "Are you ready?" And then I said yes, and they opened this door, and I walked. There's no words to describe this at all, but it was like a train and a car and a motorcycle, and it's just impossible to describe. So I ultimately ended up in a sort of like a public place, but everything was transparent, and there was like, if you imagine the characters here in the VR experience, there were two characters, like two bodies on top of each other. Like one was like kind of more transparent than the other, and it was just really, really weird. I just wondered if this is a example of astral projection.
Yeah, well, it could be, it could not be. When people ask, was my experience astral projection or not? It's difficult, right? Because we have, I didn't have that experience. You did, so it really just takes practice of knowing what it was. But I mean, it sounds rather substantial. Did it feel like very light? Like there was a lot of light, and it was kind of a really positive, like high plane, high dimension of consciousness in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, right. Yeah. I sensed that that's what you were coming to. So it could have been a high usually when we go to a very high dimension of consciousness and we travel to places like this that are very kind of alien, they can just be places where there are kind of different beings who are more kind of in a higher or different mode of consciousness, and they reside there. Yeah, I've had kind of similar experiences.
Yeah, like
really, yeah.
Like there was no world in general. It was just a flat plane where and there were buildings, but they were transparent. You could walk through them, and like everything existed like in a compounded kind of reality or physicality. And some people wouldn't acknowledge me, and some people would. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
I understand.
Really weird.
Well, that sounds like
the best thing you could do is
investigating, Kenneth. The only way about it is practice and study, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had that.
Let's go on to the next question. There's one more from
Yeah, I've heard the man with the door before. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about? What is it? The door? What does it mean?
Yeah.
We're in the Q&A section of a presentation about astral travel right now, or astral projection, I should say.
The door is this one. That's the door, right? The astral doorway door. the portal within ourselves to reach that which is beyond, right? Phosphorus, did you have a question?
Oh, no.
Oh, was it Ash? Or, wait,
there's also another question from the YouTube stream. We could maybe.
Okay.
This might be a quick one to answer. So somebody.
Okay, hey, I'll try to be a bit more quicker with the answers.
No, that's all right. This is just not a complicated question, I think. Somebody asked.
Okay.
They had a dream and they woke up feeling physically the sensation that was, akin to what happened in the dream. which was they were attacked by a dog in their dream. They woke up, and they felt the result of that, pain physically or some kind of physical sensation. How would you relate this for that person? Is that something astral? Is that something lucid dreaming? What could it be?
I think anything that happens in the non-physical, whether dreams or astral, those sensations can happen when we wake up, but they disappear very quickly, and it's kind of it's the power of placebo, right? We see the pain, we interpret it as pain, and we wake up and we feel this dog has bitten us, and it takes some time, maybe 60 seconds, 2 minutes for this pain to just dissipate. Right. But yeah, so it can happen, but it's not usually
specific,
physical.
One of these
I wouldn't
different things. Right?
I wouldn't say so. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it can happen in both. Maybe more astral than not, because the astral is more a kind of more palpable and more physical-like feeling. But I think it can happen in dreams too. It's only happened to me in the physical, actually. Right. Sorry, it's only happened to me in the astral, actually. I've never experienced it in dreams, so yeah, maybe it's only in the astral. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess, as with most of the stuff, again, the discernment of the practitioner is key. Only they can really make sense of that, I suppose. Okay, any other questions?
I think I fixed my microphone now.
Oh, yeah. I think, Nyala, did you have your...
Yes, we can hear you now, Ash.
I was just asking what you guys meant by the door. I couldn't understand it very well.
Oh, sorry, I've not actually explained that, but it just means it's symbolic that the door to other dimensions, higher dimensions of consciousness, these other realms that we can visit while out of body, is within ourselves, and we don't need to look towards modern science. We don't need to look towards the spiritual teachings in a way. They're helpful, but really it is all within ourselves, that door that we can just open if we just walk through, right? People behind the door are the ones who are always questioning, always confused.
I don't see anything.
Kind of skeptical.
Oh, she might be.
Oh, really?
Someone Quest.
Yeah, it's because Quest user out.
Well,
it's just
the YouTube stream.
It's just a door, yeah. You look at that door, right? And people behind the door are always questioning, skeptical. But the people who have gone through the door are the ones practicing. They're not thinking too much. They're just always practicing, always having new experiences, etc. Yeah, it's just symbolic of our own ability.
I just had one quick one too. When you started, yeah, is claircognizance also a part of something that happens in the astral plane, or it comes from there?
Yes, absolutely. Just clarify claircognizance, because I get confused with another one. Yes, instant knowing. So, for example, I was once in the astral and I met a kind of spiritual teacher, guide, and this happens very often, that you don't need to talk like we are talking to each other in the physical. Information can be kind of interchanged without words. You just know, right? And I walked into a kind of lecture, and she said to me, the information that was given to me was that this was a lecture for the kind of public unconscious people. So actually, when at night, the masses of this world can actually undergo certain lessons while we're sleeping. So yes, that's what she said to me. So all sorts of information can just be known. Is very easy there, because the dimensions aren't very dense, and information comes to us a lot quicker. Obviously, this is a skill that can be developed. It's just about practicing and listening to your intuition, not doubting yourself, meditation, etc. So yeah, it's definitely It's definitely a thing. Claircognizance.
I have another question for you, Gene. You mentioned.
I'll get to you next, Ash.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned, that in your perception, the dream state or being asleep is the platform from which you launch the experience, right? But then, for example, in ceremonial magic or like even something people might be familiar with, the Golden Dawn system, there is, the kind of meditation where you go into sort of a trance state first and then supposedly astrally project in an experience that is based on an archetype of nature or reality or whatever you want to call it, fundamental building block kind of a thing which you then perceive this way. So how would you contextualize that, right? These people use the word astral travel or projection for this, at least in their old papers. But what are they doing in your perception when they approach these archetypal
so are you saying
through meditation or trance?
So you you kind of want clarity on people doing it supposedly awake, right?
Yeah, so it's not going from wake to sleep to astral. It's from awake to trance state through ritual, and then from there into a vivid experience of what they say is an archetypal force or a fundamental aspect of nature or something like that.
Yeah. So this is actually a very, it's actually very advanced. And the reason why I always recommend for people to do it from the sleeping state, because it is the most natural state and it's the best way you can recognize what is a genuine experience. I've met people who think they are astral projecting while awake. They're just clearly not. There's just this, as someone who's experienced, I really can just tell these things from talking to them, and they obviously get upset when I say, look, you're just using your egoic imagination. But yes, it is possible. If you look into descriptions of meditation is can be described as conscious sleep. So these kind of trance states that occur, it's the act of consciously going to sleep, but in a very intentional way. So it is possible to astral project from meditation. However, it's quite advanced, and it is something very advanced, very profound, because if you want to profoundly astral project from meditation, you need to transcend desire, right? You need to not always think about, in meditation I'm going to astral project. You need to connect with that state very deeply. So
absolutely,
and like you said,
give some more context there, these systems, they're all very involved. If you want to get to that point, there's so many preliminary practices and disciplines, and even learning symbolism, whatever. It's very involved. It's not a very everyday task.
So, and that's why they use that those systems and all those complexities, because as I said, you can use astral projection to investigate anything, to study anything, and so to do it in a very kind of ritualistic way for a specific thing would be an ideal way to do it, because you're really solidifying your intent. But as I said, it's something a bit more advanced to do it from a kind of meditative state. Some people will say you can astral project while awake, but meditation is a kind of going into a sort of sleepy trance state where your body goes into a kind of kind of ketosis. Is that the word? But so I hope that kind of
thanks.
clarifies it. Thank you very much. Ash, did you have a question? I'll get to you next. Is that Jake or Zalgo?
No, it's just something. Is my mic working?
Yeah, working.
Yeah. Okay. Finally. So, fear. when I do self-inquiry and question myself if I have like any fear towards astral projection, feels like, of course, the ego will be like, of course, no. And in a way, he's right, because I want to experience it. And I mean fully, not just accidentally or sort of like phasing memory. But I think I put my finger on the fear that actually holds me. And it's not the fear of astral projecting. It's more about how do you come back from this after, and I don't mean, losing your physical body or something like that, but I know that once the astral projection will be over, I'll go back to waking reality, and it's like, how do you cope with that? Like, nothing will be the same after that, of course, and maybe I'm not the only one. Maybe that's a lot of our unconscious fear that we just, it's going to shake a lot of things. And
yeah,
what would you say to me?
It's similar to like you hear like people saying having kundalini awakening experiences, right? And they can't deal with physical life. So this is why I've been, stressing that, the practice is always here and now with whatever challenge comes up. And after you astral project and if you have a very big awakening and come to this huge realization that, life is something you didn't realize and you really touched that which was beyond, you just have to accept that. You come to terms with it in your own way, meditate, and try to just at least feel come to some peace with that, because it really is still part of the journey, and it always depends, of course, on who you are and how you are. A person can go into the astral and become extremely happy if they're a very positive person. I'm gonna live my whole life and I'm gonna die, and then I've got loads of things to look forward to after I die. Or a person can a more kind of negative, or the kind of negative voices in our head can either say, "Oh, what is the point in living when I've seen what's beyond? There is no point to this physical life." But the biggest reality and realization we have to come to is physical life is absolutely integral to astral projection. It is the foundation to our spiritual progress, and you'll realize that you'll start to gain a sense that there is a sort of grace and a sort of synchronicity and a sort of purpose to your life, your personal life, and to where you are right now, and a slow discovery of why you came into your life to experience what you're experiencing. And this way we connect to kind of our personal purpose. And your personal purpose is always satisfying, always makes you happy and makes you joyful with whatever, your purpose is and what you connect to. So like I've said, it's always just about being aware. Whatever comes up in the mind, we might get trapped in it for a bit with fears and stuff, but we just observe. We have to keep observing, and that's that really. I've tried to. I think for maybe 2 years out of the 11 years, I tried to get away from spirituality. I did it too intensely. And eventually, I just couldn't brush it off. The experience is so powerful of that knowing. It was always there in my mind, and I just found that it was harder to live life trying to ignore it than not. And I can say I'm much happier now, just carrying on my spiritual path. But yeah, just be gentle with yourself and carry on and be happy.
Feel better. Like I stopped taking weed, and it really changed everything. I'm able to get high naturally, and but I'm not gonna go into the details. But yeah, I feel a lot
Yeah.
better because of that, and I have a lot less crotches, as you put it, and I
Yeah.
rely more on myself and on the present moment and just being observant of everything, including my ego.
Yeah.
Just watching
Yeah.
it, but I try
Yeah.
to be careful about purpose and things like that, because that's another sort of like, you know, when you say you only see your mind, you see achievements, dreams, and stuff like that. So, and those are like other projection I feel like I need to be careful of. Because your
Yes.
ego will start to like see those things as a sort of like goals or achievement you need to do, or you will like miss your life or something like that. And,
Yeah.
but for me, I feel like that
Yeah,
my purpose is
absolutely.
only to be here and now, and
Yeah.
all these other things
Purpose.
will
We.
just come.
Yeah, we don't need to explicitly chase purpose. As you said, you just carry on being aware, and purpose arises naturally in our emotions. Yeah. Okay. Do we have someone for a question?
Yeah. Okay, I have a couple
Yes,
of questions, but in case I ask something that you might have already covered in the lecture, I arrived late. I missed basically all of it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
I
it's
got the
been
time wrong.
recorded, so you'll be able
Yeah.
to review it if you
But-
want.
So I don't ask. Well, I was sort of hoping that I was the last person to ask questions in case I took up too much time. But I think you did already cover this. I think one of the first questions I have is I wrote them down here. So like, for example, how do you know you're in a dream versus astral projection? I mean, is there any noticeable thing? Like, I mean, is it hard to mistake one for the other? Is it like visually different, or is it just different sensation?
If
Yeah,
you want
so
to, Gene,
I
feel
actually-
free to refer Jake to the recording because I appreciate your time is valuable.
Yeah.
And we did go over that in depth, Jake. But if you want to answer, feel free, of course. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I was
Yeah,
going to
it's
ask
a,
something
there,
you've already covered.
there is so much to it. Definitely review the lecture, and definitely see my video on my YouTube channel on there. Where is it? This one, Layers of Reality, top left. So definitely go see that one. It covers everything, including that astral dreams are not controllable in a way, and they don't react to your own sensation, your own expectations, and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely see those. And you had a second question, right?
Yeah. Well, I think this one is it's sort of a broad question, but it's like about the sort of not separation anxiety, but like the force that sort of keeps us in our body. You know, like is that a thing, or is like why is it difficult for a lot of people to leave their body? You know, just is it because of the
so
their awareness is?
Yeah.
That's also a major
Yes.
part of the
So
presentation.
yeah. So again, you will see in the presentation. You'll see attachments, right? Attachments to thought forms, attachments to all those branches. They kind of keep us stuck in our dreams. And we also do have our attachment to our physical body as well. So yeah, I think you'll find some answers in the lecture as well.
Oh, that's okay then. I'll review the footage then afterwards. Hopefully, it should answer all my questions.
Okay.
But
yeah, I would go into it, but I don't think I have too much time left. I want to answer more questions.
That's okay.
Yeah, and also, listen to the lectures, watch my videos. If you're still stuck on something, just ask me a question in Discord or leave a comment on my YouTube channel, and I usually get back to all the questions. So, yeah. Okay. Anyone for another question? I still have time. I have like 20 minutes or so. So yeah, Celestial Vamp.
All right.
I was gonna say, I noticed in the one diagram where you had like the levels of consciousness, I think I noticed that hypnagogia was in the astral projection section. And I was just curious. It doesn't have to be a long answer, but I'm just curious, like the connection with that.
Okay, so hypnagogia refers to any kind of extrasensory occurrences, phenomena, or sensations that happen that are not clearly observable in the physical dimension. So this can be loud sounds, voices. It's kind of like when we're going into the non-physical, your body is sort of acting like a tuning, a radio tuning, right? And you can hear all sorts of noises on the way, all sorts of frequencies. You just need to be impartial towards them and just carry on. So hypnagogia includes that audio. It can also include visual perception. So again, it's kind of like a TV tuning. You kind of see static or multicolors and stuff, all sorts of things. And then you have also the sensation of your energetic body coming out, and that can feel very very lively, more lively than your physical body of blood and bag and bones. It's really an energetic feeling. Yeah, so that refers to hypnagogia, and it really just happens towards and during the separation phase.
Okay. And just to continue that, hypnagogia, it's something that I experience quite a lot. So I'm like quite familiar with the experience. But normally
during meditation, right?
Well,
or
when I'm sleeping, like
sleep.
around in like the barrier between awake and sleep on either side.
Right. Yeah.
So like hypnagogia or pumpya, either way. But
yeah.
Anytime I have that, I experience like extreme fear, like every single time, and I'm wondering, and almost immobilizing how strong. Sometimes almost feels like there's a presence. And I know the way it sounds. A lot of people say, "Oh, sleep paralysis," but I can still. I'm not paralyzed. But it's just this extreme fear. And then say like the sounds, the noises, it triggers the fear even more. And I'm wondering maybe what could help me, like maybe this, like when you said like a monk, maybe how I could help the fear.
Yeah. I mean, you can train yourself to kind of visualize yourself going through this, being confident, having no fear. We have to have courage. I know it can be strange, but you have to be focused on your goals. Don't be focused on hypnagogia. Don't be focused on vibrations. Focus on what you want to do. Focus on, fear of all this and things that the voices in our minds get fearful about. I mean, be logical, right? Why should that outweigh desires that we want to do in the astral? If you want to go to the moon or something, or you want to, maybe you had a family member who died and someone you love, and you want to go and visit them, like, focus on that. Just focus on, you have some kind of incentive, right? So to take your mind off it. When we focus on the ego gets more amplified, right? So just try not to be too thinking about it too much. And you really just need courage and practice, and you can get past all those stages. There is nothing to fear from it. It's
a little bit of lag there. Are you all right, Gene? Did we lose you again? I think he might be lost again.
He went into the astral realm again.
Well, to add something to that, Vamp, one thing you've been already practicing at least a couple times is, the mindfulness of breathing meditation, because, again, what you're doing there is dealing with a kind of distractions, and whether these distractions are, daydreams or stuff like that, or whether it's, fear or those kind of things, you're, through this practice, increasing your steadfastness against distractions in general, So that's again one of the many practices or tools that you can use in in this pursuit.
Because sometimes there are things like they're very violent. Like, say, I feel like there's like a pack of wolves surrounding me, and like I can feel them rushing and like barking, and it's like I'm surrounded by like hellhounds, and it's stuff like that, or like screaming, or like something pinning me down. Like, it's kind of hard to like focus on something else when it's so like aggressive.
Yeah, again, people who go through this practice a lot and deal with these things more commonly, they have many ways to go about dealing with it that I cannot summarize because I'm no expert on it, but I know that those techniques and the information is out there. By the way, just to mention, Gene is on his way.
Almost any.
Sorry, Mr. Jekyll. Gene is on his way back in, so he'll be here momentarily again. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Jekyll.
Well, theoretically, when you are already between the two planes, like partially shifted there, you can always try to get some help. Call for any like Archangel.
Yeah, I tried one time, and then it just made it a lot more violent when I tried that. I mean,
that means that these beings were afraid of them, but that they just want to be more afraid, so you would not try to seek help.
Sorry, Jackal. Gene's back here.
I see.
So let's continue.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
I added to your comments that one way to also go about this is practicing again mindfulness of breathing meditation, because it generally helps withstand distractions. You know, just like fear, which distracts you from the goal you're after, and so on. Which again, guys,
and don't